Hey, KyleWillson here. Welcome to the channel where we talk about metaverse, crypto, and NFTs. And in this episode, we'll be talking about the founder of Wax and how he basically said Veve NFTs are not NFTs and Disney misled people into buying them. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive right into the video. All right, so this is a interview that was actually conducted on Paul Barron Network's channel here, and I highly recommend you actually subscribe to his channel. I'll link it in the description below, as he interviews many amazing founders, creators, and analysts on his channel here, and covers a lot of the major metaverse and bigger plays in the entire NFT and crypto ecosystem. So highly recommend you go and check him out. I've actually been an analyst a couple times and appeared on his channel, as an analyst for Immutable X and Veve. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive in and kind of analyze and dissect what was said here. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll the clip where they're talking about the wallet here and how Wax is somewhat inclusive, and they have some cool features, but let's just go ahead and roll the clip.
In the sense of having an all-inclusive wallet like this and being able to really kind of get mass adoption for this. One, having a web or a cloud wallet like this, good. Any plan to really kind of go and accelerate into true mobile native wallets, say on the Android or iOS system?
No.
So I thought that was a very interesting thing he said. He just said no, of course, but Paul asked him, if they're going to roll out any kind of mobile app or mobile wallet, if you will, and he said no. So I thought that was interesting and kind of bummed me out a little bit, as a person that has used the Wax platform and has bought collectibles on there. While I can still trade, I can still share my profile on my social media accounts and show it off to my friends. It still doesn't have that mobile wallet, and it's much harder to actually purchase those collectibles and NFTs on the Wax platform. And it makes it a little bit more difficult for that mainstream adoption as well, in my opinion, which why I get so excited about platforms like Veve and many others that are coming down the pipeline. But mainly Veve is one of the #1 platforms that makes it so easy to collect. So I thought that was very interesting and thought that he would say that. But let's go ahead and keep rolling.
Because pure cloud. Those are dark overlords.
Yeah.
They, I mean, Apple and Android.
So he starts getting into, I think he's talking more on the fee side. So if you watch Non-Fungible Wonderful video, he actually broke this part down as well. And this is basically, Epic and Apple kind of battling it out, litigation. And I believe he's more talking about on the fee side and the developer side, not necessarily the user side. Because at the end of the day, we can actually use a lot of these apps like Coinbase and Coinbase also to release their own marketplace soon. So he does go into a little bit of detail on Apple and Google and those platforms taking their, fair share of the cut there, or maybe not fair share in some people's eyes. But he does talk about that and kind of the reasoning of why they don't want to release a mobile app. So we'll go ahead and kind of fast forward to the Veve part here.
App Store. There are people who have been misled by companies. I think Disney misled companies. If they might not even have understood what was going on. Mm-hmm. Disney does not have an NFT.
So I thought that was obviously interesting there too. So I wanted to roll that part and really show the data side of it as well, because I know Non-Fungible did a video, but I wanted to talk about the actual and show the information available on, Immutascan. So as you can see here, these are the NFTs. Immutascan is the block explorer, by the way, on Immutable X, where you can see all the transaction data, you can see the token data, and each project. So you can actually come here and see some of the data behind some of these top projects. Now Veve isn't listed yet because I haven't fully rolled out as far as Immutable X goes, but you can still look up the platform on Immutascan and see that they've minted over 4 million NFTs, which makes them definitely the largest platform on Immutable X so far. And you can see a lot of the transaction data and all the NFT, token data as well. So they definitely are already minted on Immutable X. And so I thought that was interesting. He said that Disney does not have real NFTs when you can actually see the data here on a Mutascan. Maybe he doesn't know, but I thought I would point that out because I thought it was something very important to notate there. But let's go ahead and keep rolling.
Some people think they bought NFTs on the Veve app. They have not. They bought virtual items. I say that because you can't trade that for money. You can't trade that off the Veve app. It's trapped in the Veve app. And I think they do a very poor job of actually highlighting that to users, because I know people who went on and said, oh.
Yeah, so another thing to note is that as we're looking at this Immutable X rollout, we can actually go to the Immutable X marketplace currently, and you can scroll down and actually see token, the OMI right there, as far as the listing currency. So it appears the obvious conclusion is that when Veve is rolled out, we'll be able to list our NFTs into OMI, and obviously we can buy in OMI as well. So I thought that was cool because this is actually a flagship token here on the Immutable X platform. And so I think that what he's saying technically is kind of true currently, but also that Veve is in the beta phase of the MTL, or money transmitter license phase, where we'll be able to cash out on the actual Veve app on the mobile side. So with that being said, there will be several ways to cash out on Veve, and especially when they roll out fully and all the brands are able to approve that. Hopefully most of the brands will, but we will see. But as far as the immutable listings go, but yeah, the brands that opt into it, I definitely see the listing currencies being in Ethereum and the rest of these tokens as well. And obviously with Ethereum, you can send Ethereum to the layer 1 and then send that to Coinbase and cash out that way. Same thing with OMI once they have that bridge rolled out. So I definitely see a lot of different ways that you'll be able to cash out when it fully rolls out. But I think currently he does have a point, but I think that point will expire given everything rolls out here in the near future. So
I've got this Disney NFT. I'm going to go, trade it on OpenSea and make some great money. And I'm like, no, you're not, because Apple doesn't allow that. Apple does not allow virtual items to leave.
Yeah, and so in my opinion, Veve could do a couple things as far as that goes. They could definitely, use this underlying technology of Immutable X, and that basically be the underlying technology on the platform, right? So that digital goods actually never necessarily leave the app, and that the users are able to, store those NFTs in their own, Ethereum-based wallet. So I definitely think that there's going to be some things that, we will see and probably have to work through with Veve app and see how they roll that out. I think that's an interesting point he definitely made, but I think that can definitely be remedied with a few different things and just using the Immutable X as the underlying base technology, much like the OMI token is already on the app and how that is currently utilized. So if you didn't know, OMI is actually burnt when people buy NFTs on the Veve app, and that doesn't really impact the NFTs themselves. That just drives the underlying, technology as far as the OMI token goes. So I could see Veve doing the same thing with the Immutable X NFT side of things. So, but we will see. A lot of that's going to be definitely different brands and IPs and what they opt into. And I bet they're going to have to communicate to every single brand and IP and work through what they want to do and how they want to list on Immutable X and how interoperable they want to be. I definitely don't see Apple limiting Veve in the distant future or in the future, just because, like I mentioned before, Coinbase is going to roll out their own NFT marketplace. So I would imagine a lot of these NFT platforms are in talks with Apple, and I believe Apple is definitely going to open the door, especially as Facebook, rolls out their metaverse, Disney rolling out their metaverse, and even YouTube themselves basically signaling support for the NFT NFT where you will probably be able to, show off your NFTs on YouTube. I mentioned that in a previous video as well. So all in all, that's the kind of the future. So I don't necessarily think that's going to be a big hindrance in the near future, as all of them are opting into their own marketplaces or support for NFTs. You even seen Twitter enable the verification of your NFT on their platform, and even TikTok announcing it. So all the platforms are going to move towards this direction. So I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case there. And as far as the cashing out feature or the layer 2 feature, you can actually go to Token Trove, and if you go to your NFTs on Token Trove, if you have any NFTs currently on there, there's actually a way you can actually go to OpenSea. You can withdraw your NFT here, and that's going to withdraw it to the layer 1, which is the base, network of Ethereum, and you'll be able to list your NFTs on OpenSea. But there's no way to get that NFT back over to Immutable X until there's a bridge built out. And I probably would assume that Immutable X is already working on that bridge that we can bridge back to Immutable X. But I thought this was really cool, and a feature that I thought was really cool, even though I won't cash out or aka withdraw my NFTs, if you will, to the layer 1, because I think that's silly, because Immutable X currently is, gas free. And with that being said, I don't see myself cashing or withdrawing, if you will, to the layer 1. So I just wanted to hit that as well. So
the integration of Ecomi, the plugin to Veve that is pending, that could essentially at least give the value proposition for a Veve digital item holder, being able to trade that and be able to do an exchange into an Ecomi token. Wouldn't that enable the offboarding of those assets? Sure. Okay.
Of course.
I mean, it's going to live there.
As soon as head transplants are possible, as soon as we have flying cars.
So like he mentioned, I believe they're talking about that MTL once again. And I think Wax may have tried to do something on iOS or maybe Android and really couldn't work out a significant, or maybe they couldn't work towards an agreement maybe there. But like I said, their platform, it's very inclusive, and I get why that he would be kind of negative towards, Veve or other platforms, just because they're trying to take market share away from platforms like Veve, platforms like OpenSea. They want to be a one-off solution type of NFT platform and beyond, right? So I get why he mentioned everything like that, but I wanted to break it down and show you guys all the data behind everything and make sure everybody knows like the actual, what you can actually do with your NFTs and what is actually going on the back end of things as well. But anyways, we'll go ahead and continue to roll the clip.
Then I will love them. You can't do that now.
Right.
You are buying a virtual item. There was a company ahead of its time, I would say, called Quid, Quid, that had virtual items that you could buy within.
So if you are an older viewer of mine, we all know about Quid, and a lot of YouTubers actually covered that in the past, where Quid was basically like Veve but minus the 3D models, and they didn't really have plans to do NFTs, and they didn't have their own token as well. So there's a lot of drawbacks to Quid. It was more like a plain version of Veve, where there was no 3D models. There was no underlying blockchain technology out of the gates. It had no plans for a token or NFT. And that all came later, and it was too late for Quid after they decided that that would probably be a good idea. And I think they actually saw Veve doing everything on the blockchain and probably wanted to go that route. But he does talk about Quid, and like I said, Quid was like digital stickers like on the app. So it was more like, 2D style NFTs for the most part. And that was kind of the Quid app. They did have a lot of licenses. It was very interesting, but it was the fact that they didn't execute on the blockchain. And I think that's why they didn't necessarily succeed. I think they actually got bought by Animoca, and they plan to do something with Quid in the future. But with Veve already being, have so much market share and so many NFTs, so many users, it's hard to compete with a platform like Veve.
The Apple app, and they licensed probably 100 different companies, brands, Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel characters, and you could trade these things back and forth, but not for money, and you could never leave the app. And they failed. They raised venture money. They failed because people weren't interested in that.
Right.
Now, when you say you're going to do an NFT drop, but it's identical to what Quid was doing 6-7 years ago, I think that's misleading.
See, as I mentioned before, the history of Quid and why I thought that was not a necessarily success is because, like I said, it was 2D, non-blockchain based, and I don't think they had plans to launch anything out of the gates like Veve. Or if you look at Veve and Ecomi, from years past, they actually planned the entire thing with a token and that these NFTs be based on the blockchain and an efficient and eco-friendly blockchain. And they actually didn't even have any venture capital raised. They actually, the founders basically raised their own capital and made it a success. So that's why I really do appreciate a platform like Veve, whereas they didn't rely on outside investors, but they basically bootstrapped everything together, and it has been a wild success, and they could actually still raise funds to go to that next level. And I've speculated before that I think that they will, if given the chance, if it's a big enough player or a couple players, where if they really want to go to that, tier one, compete with Coinbase Marketplace, that they could raise funds or maybe raise funds from a platform like Coinbase. I think that would be definitely a solid and good move to be kind of solidify themselves as the very top project in the entire NFT space when it comes to a branded experience.
Yeah. And so Ecomi's plan was to allow people to go into this app and get an NFT and then go take it out of that ecosystem and trade it on some Ethereum marketplace. Right. I say that's great, but get Apple's permission.
And I think that's exactly what they're doing, seeing as they're one of the top grossing apps in the entertainment section, month over month. Same with the Google's Play Store. So I do see that they're going to do that, and they'll definitely work out probably some kind of agreement with Apple. Seeing as Apple is also working on the Apple Glass, and so is Google working on their own AR, glasses. So I do see that Veve being one of the solid use cases for VR. So I do think that I'm more of an optimist when it comes to that. And I think they'll definitely work out something there just because the sheer branding and positioning that it could do for Apple, because there's the largest brands in the world on Veve, and that has the full support of companies like Disney and Marvel. So I see that, I think that they'll overcome the hurdles in my opinion, but time will tell, and that's just a speculation, but we'll continue to roll it.
And Apple has not granted it yet. So to answer your question, the day Apple says all virtual items on Apple apps in all of the biggest apps, keep in mind apps, video game apps are the biggest category of apps from a money standpoint, right? So when Apple says we're going to relax our business model and allow you to now freely take those things out of the Apple ecosystem and do what you want with them, then we will be the first in line to make an app. But until they actually do that, I don't want to mislead consumers into thinking they're buying something that they're not buying.
Yeah.
And I do believe that Ecomi and Veve will find a solution for that as well. And I know that they are already working on their own web app, and they're not going to be, super restricted when it comes to the web, browser and web application. So I think there's definitely ways around it. And I believe that they mentioned it in a couple AMAs that some of the features are going to be web-based only and have a lot more features where we can possibly transact, not have to worry about those fees as far as buying gems. So I kind of think that maybe that there is some solutions there, like just using the web browser, if that makes sense. But anyways, he does have good points there, and we'll have to see what Veve does and how they respond and what they will do. But anyways, that's all I really got for this video. I just wanted to make sure I cover this and analyze the ecosystem and show you guys the possibilities are in what is already accessible on Immutable X and Veve as well. And also talk about Wax, because I thought it's an interesting platform. I'm a user of it, but it is its own ecosystem, and I don't know if it's ready per se for mass adoption, but I do like it. But like I said, it's just hard to compete with a platform like Veve in my opinion, but time will tell. But if you like this video, smash the thumbs up and hit that subscribe and bell so you don't miss any more videos like this. As always, I will see you guys in the next video and at the blockchain. Peace.